This is Duke University.
Thank you very much for coming. This is very exciting. So last year, in the Duke Startup Challenge, we didn't have an energy and environment pitch, and now look at us. How many of you guys are ready to hear some pitches? Yeah. My name's Nick Donowitz, and I have the lucky privilege to be the track lead and MC for this event. I'm president of the Energy Club at Fuqua. I'm an MBA over there, and I'm also a Master of Environment and Management over at the Nicholas School in energy, so energy is sort of near and dear to my heart. I'm going to give you a quick background here. First and foremost, the Duke Startup Challenge is not just tonight. This is the elevator pitch competition, but this is a year-long entrepreneurship competition at Duke for 25 grand. This week is elevator pitch competition time, which you all obviously know about, but January 15th, just to cue you in, executive summary competition. The finals will be announced on the 18th of February, and then the finals are in April. So please stay tuned. You do not have to compete in the elevator pitch competition to participate in the finals, but please stay tuned for those dates. Just real quick, I've been asked to say this. If you're in the wrong room, so next door you have clapping, that's the healthcare track. This is the energy environment track. If anybody needs to get up, please do so. But I hope you're all here for the right reason. So here are our tracks right here: IT, media, energy, environment, social enterprise, products and services, healthcare, and life sciences. So this elevator pitch competition goes on all week. You're here tonight, but tomorrow, Women in IT Media, you can catch over at Fuqua in Millie and Dansby, I believe. On Thursday, social enterprise, products and services. But please do not miss the final event, which you see here. Sorry. Google Ventures. Bill Morris will be one of our judges for the finals event in Janine at Fuqua on Friday at 5:30. Two teams will leave here tonight and go to that final competition, and there'll be two teams from each track that will go. That'll be a great event, and please come out. So my next role here as MC is to let the judges here introduce themselves. Our judges have come all the way from Schenectady, New York, Charleston, and locally in Durham. So let me please allow these folks to introduce themselves, starting with Van Morris.
Hi, I'm Van Morris. I'm with US Microgrid. We're an energy project developer.
Stacy Glass. This one's on it.
Hi, I'm Stacy Glass. My company is Cara Green. We do sustainable building products. We give small manufacturers with great sustainable products an avenue to market with distribution and sales and marketing.
Hi, I'm Jeff Keller of GB Global Research. I'm a technology scout in the energy space. I spend about half my time with Energy Financial Services Venture Capital Group looking at small companies in the energy sector.
So please round of applause for these guys for coming down. I also want to just take a minute and make sure that we recognize our sponsors. So up here we have accounting firms, law firms, IT and software firms. All these guys are making this competition and the rest of the Duke Startup Challenge possible. So please give a round of applause for these guys too. I realize you guys want to get to the pitches. We were lucky to have Van Morris, who's prepared a few remarks to start us off, to just sort of set the tone for this competition. So I'm going to invite Van to come up here and enlighten us with a few words.
Is this on? Yep. Can you hear me now? Thank you. It's great to be here. I enjoy spending time with young people trying to execute their first business plan, their first business. A few comments about business planning and the business plan. And one point that I would leave you with is, even though we're here in a business planning judging contest, it's really not about the business plan. It's about the thinking behind the business plan. One of my good friends and favorite entrepreneurs, a fellow who had tremendous success in the internet space, has an expression that no battle plan survives war. And if you think about all the wars that we've been in, we won some and we've lost some, but not a single one of them went according to the original plan. And another friend who's an early stage investor says, you know, most business plans are obsolete by the time they're written. So with this comment, why write a business plan? What's the value of the business plan? And really that's kind of what I want to speak with you a little bit about. Most entrepreneurs that I deal with, if they're honest with me and I say, why do you want to write a business plan? They'll say, I don't want to write a business plan, I just want to get funded, right? So it's not about the business plan, it's really about funding. And if you think about the process that a lot of entrepreneurs take on, they start off with a tremendous amount of motivation. I suspect most of you are at that point right now. You say, you know, I don't really want to be cubicle 147 on the 5th floor in the back. I want to do something different with my life. I want to have a chance to create something. I want to have a chance to potentially be independently wealthy. I want to have a chance to do something that's my own definition of what success is. And that's the beginning of the entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs are also prone to action, so what do? You go right out and you start taking action. You get an idea, and you may just grab an idea and you start building a prototype and you start talking to your friends, and oh, by the way, that's the first step because you become more committed to the idea the more you speak to your friends. And then you tell your parents and you become even more committed to the idea. And then you create a one-page executive summary and you go on the circuit to try and get funding, and the gentleman across the table says, this sounds interesting, let me see your business plan, and smack, you run into, I gotta write a business plan, right? It's on your to-do list. Go to the grocery store, pay taxes, buy a present for girlfriend, write business plan. And the truth of the matter is, most business plans are written exclusively to get an A on the grade, A on the paper. The problem with that is that there's an automatic filtering process. Think about it. The gentleman said, I like your executive interview, shoot me your business plan. You've got 4 days to develop your business plan. It's in bits and pieces all over your desk. You've talked about it. You have a spreadsheet that mostly makes sense, and now you need to deliver something. You immediately go into this filtering process that says, here's an idea. Well, this is a good one. This goes to the business plan. Here's an idea. Ooh, that doesn't help me. I'm going to put that one over here. Here's an idea. This goes into the business plan. Here's a bad one. I'm going to put this one over here. And this collection of things that are risks to your business now become objections that you must overcome with a venture capitalist. Again, at this point in time, it's not about the business plan, it's about getting funded. Well, I want to talk to you about all those things that might be considered risks to you that you might think about, because they're going to show up later down the road in your business. And the business planning cycle is actually a wonderful time to think through all those things that could go wrong, because you yet haven't put any money to play. I've been fortunate to be involved with a number of entrepreneurs, some that were highly successful. And what I tell you about the highly successful ones is the idea they made money on and got success on was not their first, it was not their second, it was not their third, it was not their fourth, it was their 100th. They were constantly in the process of running business plan thinking in their minds about all their ideas. They forced their ideas to go through their own Darwinian battle to see which idea would truly get the one that they would spend time on. And that's what I mean by the thinking behind the business plan. And I think the other thing about the thinking behind the business plan, today you're out to get an A on the paper. My job is, and our job is to try and figure out if you've done the thinking behind it, or if you're just going to get an A on the paper, whether it's the best presentation or whether it's the most well thought out business. But the real reason that I want to tell you I think you should focus on the thinking behind the business plan is that if you're lucky enough to get funded, and if you write a good business plan, you may get funded. Is that forward?
Just 1 year.
Okay. And you get your business going, adversity will show up. It always shows up. And the benefit of the thinking behind the business plan is that it provides you a little bit of confidence in the shakeout period, in the washout period. Many of you have probably seen this, but this is really like old business plans, right? Ask mom and dad for a little bit of money, write a business plan, get it going, get some more venture funding. You're lucky enough to get in business, and all of a sudden adversity shows up. I spent some time in the internet space, and I will tell you there was not a unique idea. All the ideas entered into the ether at the same time. So if you thought you had an idea, there's a person over there that had the same idea that was working on it, same as the person over there. The difference oftentimes was execution, but the entrepreneurs that I found were most successful were the ones that did all the thinking in advance. What happens if? What happens if? What about this idea? What about that idea? So that when the washout period comes, when it hits the proverbial fan, you've already thought through those. So you're going through school, you know what earned income is, you know what unearned income is. I tell you there are two kinds of confidence. There's earned confidence and there's unearned confidence. You all probably know people that have unearned confidence. Very confident, a lot of bravado. That's not the kind of confidence that'll sustain you through the then a miracle occurs period in the development of the business. It's the earned confidence. And the earned confidence comes from the thinking behind the business plan, from the hours of rolling it over in your head and really thinking about it. So the reason that you want to not focus on the business plan as much as you do the thinking behind the business plan is that you want the earned confidence to get you through the difficult periods with the development of the business. One final story for you. Very close friend of mine at age 27, very close younger friend of mine at age 27, started a little company. The name of the company was Half.com, and the approach to the company was that not everybody on eBay wanted to wait through a bid process. This was 7 years ago, something like that. And that was really the value proposition, that if you wanted a book, you might just want it now. You might not want to bid, and you know what, the difference between 847 and 892 didn't mean a whole lot to you. So that was the basic theme. I read his business plan, I was on his board. There were 4 other companies started at almost exactly the same time. There were 4 other business plans. His business plan said, eBay might buy me, Amazon might buy me. Guess what? The other 4 business plans said the same thing. But this gentleman journaled. He kept one of these, and he had every category: competition, fundraising, technology, and he just kept writing ideas after ideas after ideas after ideas. He had a business plan, and he had the thinking behind the business plan. One of those ideas was, how would he get noticed by eBay in order to get acquired by eBay? He found the analyst who followed eBay for one of the bigger houses, investment houses, and he befriended that individual, and he talked to him about a new threat on the horizon to eBay's business model, which was the fixed price bid. The analyst, wanting some column inches on what he would write, it sounded intelligent, came out with a new report that said, you know, eBay's doing great, but they've got a challenge on the horizon that there's a new business model. And he drew a big circle of eBay, a big circle of Amazon, and a little circle of Half.com. Now, my friend could never have gotten through the front doors of eBay to say, let's talk about a relationship. But he was thinking about the creative approach, and all of a sudden, eBay picked up the phone and called him and said, you know, we need to talk. And really, eBay said, we're a couple $billion-dollar company, so what's a lousy $330 million to take you out? And I give you that as an example that, by the way, there were 4 companies started at the same time. 1 made it, 3 didn't, and I think the difference probably was that little tactic, that little technique. It was just him thinking not so much what I'm going to do, but how I'm going to do it. So I wish you tremendous success in what you do. I know you're here because you've got a lot of strong motivation. I know you're going to work hard to get the business plan. Don't think about it as a term paper you need to get an A on. Think about thinking behind the business plan. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thanks for those words. So before I hand it over here to Joe, who's going to take you through the evening, I just want to say thank you to all the contestants and the competitors who are coming out here tonight. It's taken a lot of guts to get up in front of this group and sort of pitch those ideas that you've been housing in your minds as you drive, you know, as you're eating a bowl of cereal. And so can we give these guys a round of applause before we start? Because this is
Hey everybody, my name is Joe McMahon, and I'll be the floor manager tonight. Before we get started, I'm going to run you through some very simple logistics. I hope everybody can follow along. The pitch is 2 minutes in length, followed by a 3-minute Q&A from the judges only. And in terms of while the judges are asking questions, we ask that you play along and help the competitors. Okay, so every one of you should have a set of feedback forms. If that's not true, we need to try to make sure that happens. But I'm assuming everybody got one. So while the judges are asking questions, we'd like for you to fill these out. And I know it might be easy to get sidetracked, but keep in mind that this is actually probably one of the most beneficial things you can do for the competitors that are up here. the wisdom of the crowd can really help them improve their startup ideas. So please do fill out those feedback forms. So in terms of how this is going to work, at the end of the competition, we're going to choose 2 winners who will advance to the finals event Friday over at the Fuqua School of Business. There will be a judge's choice and an audience choice. The audience choice is selected by you, so at the end we will let you use your mobile phone to text the winner, and that is whoever you'd like to see win the contest tonight. As for the judge's choice, that's based on the premise of what an elevator pitch really is, and that is the chance of the second meeting. So the judges are going to try and decide who will get that second meeting as if they were only in town for an hour and allocating 60 minutes across their 3 favorite teams. So for this, the judges will choose from one team tonight, and then that team and the audience team will go tomorrow to Friday to the event with interest. So as far as the judges team, they will win, or the judges pick, they will win $150 in cash and a copy of QuickBooks Pro, Intuit, and the audience choice will win $100 in cash, and they'll also get that copy of QuickBooks Pro. So let's go through some logistics of how this 2-minute pitch is going to work. This is very simple, and once again, we ask you guys to play along. Okay, so there's a timer that's going to sound and warn the pitchers when they have 20 seconds left. And after 2 minutes is up, this is what we expect you guys to see. Okay? But it's not a visual, you guys have to yell stop when you see it. Okay, so let's practice. Okay, 2 minutes is up. Stop! Stop! Okay, I heard some really good ones back there. In theory, I was going to go through this twice, but you just take their lead and I think it'll be fine. So, let's see what else we got here. Okay, I think that with that being said, we're ready to kick off the pitches. Let's get to the first one. Okay, the first one that we've got for us is, and this was the one that I'm going to pause if I say it incorrectly. It's URGA, Rural Energy Solutions.
Good afternoon, everybody. Pronounce it right, it's URGA Rural Energy Solutions. Well, I'm Gurpreet Neeraj, and I'm a master's student at McGill School of Environment. This business here strives to alleviate energy problems in rural India. Well, in the past, with all the energy solutions we have had, there have been solutions that have been subsidized by the government. There have been solutions that have been taken up by the private companies. They have been implemented. But a majority of these solutions have been unsuccessful. The major reason behind that has been lack of proper execution or a lack of understanding of the local conditions. And that is where URGA comes into the picture. We as a company make sure that we understand the local conditions really well. We as a company, so how different are we from a normal energy consultancy? We have the research backing us, we have the knowledge base, but apart from that, we go ahead a step further. We go ahead and create cooperatives with the local communities who take part in the process of strategy making for a project. And after this project matures, then it's taken to the investor for implementation. The idea behind this was that we acknowledge the fact that the local people have a better understanding of the local conditions than anybody else. We also take this into account that this is a great source of innovation because the kind of ideas that are going to pop up in the cooperatives can be very useful for the business, for the project. So then we pitch these ideas to the investors and we charge a particular fee for the consultancy in the process. Well, in this business, we are a team of 4 people, including me. There are 3 other people who are management students at the Indian Institute of Management. They have been involved in a lot of social entrepreneurship projects and they do understand the rural conditions very well. That's it. Thank you.
I'd like to give the judges 3 minutes for Q&A. And while the judges are asking questions, once again, I do ask you guys to assist by working on the feedback forms. So maybe I was looking at the chart there. I see biofuel in two places. Presumably can be used somehow to benefit the investors who sponsor the initial capital outlay. How do you think about displacing potential agricultural, food type activities with agriculture versus biofuels? So the food versus fuel came out very robust a year and a half ago. We saw what happened. These are presumably farmers who are today making food stuff. You're going to switch them over to biofuels. What does that do to local economies?
That's very true, yeah. Food versus fuel has been debated for really long, and that is where this business idea can be really fruitful, because if you have one business idea in mind, like let's say sugarcane as a supplement for ethanol, that may not be the case for all the scenarios, and that is why diversification of this type can be really helpful. Like you can have multiple biocrops that you can use. You can have jatropha, which is not a food supplement, and you can use it for biofuels for a particular scenario, for a particular project for an area. And so with this business model, we actually go ahead and first find out which particular biocrop would be useful for this particular scenario and then implement it, rather than have one solution for the whole picture. Like in India, the policies that were made up 3-4 years back, they subsidized the major biocrops together. They didn't have a policy in mind, depending on the region, whether it's going to create a food versus fuel debate later on. And that is where this business aims to actually first calculate what the potential impacts could be, and then go for the right energy solution.
Your value proposition to the farmers, the cooperative, is clear, but the person who's actually paying you is this investor group. What is your value proposition to them?
We get them projects that have the potential, that have undergone the filter of being a potential project in this particular area. Then they have carbon credits to deal with, which can be very profitable to them. Then also, with cooperatives, the thing is that when you have the concept of amassing agricultural products, it's very inefficient for a private investor or a private company to go on and reach the individual farmers or the individual people. And that is where such a cooperative could be really good with renewable energy projects.
And how much would they pay you?
You mean the investors?
The venture capitalists or the investors, how much would they pay you?
Yeah, we're going to charge a constancy fee to start with, and then we also buy the resource from the farmers. Like we hold the seeds, and then we're going to sell the seeds at a marginal higher price to the investors, because a lot of work has gone into the project. Yeah. Thank you.
Just a quick question, are the people in the back able to hear the judges? You guys are? Yeah. Okay. So what we'll do, and just in case if you guys aren't using the mic, it might help. But anyway, next up we have, what's it say? Power down.
Hi, I'm Mike Stanton. Do you try to lose weight by guessing your calorie intake from your monthly grocery bill? Or while you're at it, how about not having access to a gym? Or even a weight loss program? So then why do we try to save energy that way? As featured in Times Magazine, Fox Business News, Boston Business Journal, and the Boston Globe, Power Down is changing the face of the untapped residential energy efficiency market. Formed by PhDs and grad students from MIT, Harvard, and Duke, Power Down is actively working to decrease unnecessary energy utilization amongst residential consumers. Our goal is to increase awareness about how individuals can save energy by creating an environment and culture of saving based on two core human emotions: competition and community. The competition is designed to be perpetual and viral. Not only are you helping the environment, but you're also supporting your favorite charity. And this is the kind of activity that people will want to share with others. That brings us to community. People who sign up for Power Down compete against their peers to save the most electricity. Power Down translates the resulting energy bill savings into donations to charities selected by the participants. While there are existing programs designed to achieve this energy savings, Power Down is the only program designed to tap into innate human motivation, the desire to win, and the desire to build meaningful relationships. Power Down is to residential efficiency what gyms are to personal fitness. Thank you.
How do you make money?
Well, so I understand there's a nonprofit part as well, but this is a nonprofit company as is, and so we're focusing on, we would be using, for example, the competition to fund the people who win the competition in between schools or churches for their favorite charity. So our goal at this point isn't to really make money.
So are you taking, so let's say I do a good job saving energy at my home. Is it my energy savings money that goes then to be donated? Is that how?
Yeah, so actually the companies have a lot of reason to be interested in this. And so, for example, it's good PR for the company. The companies are under regulatory pressure like Act 129, the energy efficiency. And between lunch and 6, they actually lose money. So it's to their advantage for them to donate that money to this cause and to the charity of the participants.
Does this require some kind of hardware or software so that I can measure in my house exactly what I'm using and when, so that I actually know, oh, my computer consumes 5 times as much as that lamp, so that's an easy way for me to save it?
That's a great question. And actually, I wasn't able to mention it, but we're using Facebook right now. And it's an app that everyone is obviously accustomed to. And through the Facebook and through the energy company directly gives them energy consumption information, and they use that information for the competition.
Have you thought about using Google Power Meter?
I hadn't thought about using that. Thanks.
Is it off of a baseline? So if I just turn on my if I just turn on my air conditioner in the middle of the winter for a week, can I game the system?
Interesting. So when you see the output, it is based on, you get to see what your, actually it's based on the last year's average is what it's based on. And on top of it, you're seeing your average throughout the year and how it compares to the other, like I said, school, community, dorm that you're competing with. So. Thank you.
Next up is Token Energy.
Hi, my name is Andrew LeBlanc, and I'm here from Token Energy. We're developing software that displays the residents of the building exactly how much energy their building is using in real time. Because this data is real time, residents can see how their behavior affects energy usage and then take steps to reduce it. So for example, if you flip on a light switch, you'll be able to see power consumption go up immediately. This data is pulled from smart meters in buildings and then displayed on TV monitors, on a website, and on Facebook and iPhone applications. Our initial target market is university dorms, because residents of these dorms currently have no idea how much energy they're using, and they have no incentive to save because they don't pay for their electricity. We differentiate ourselves from the competition primarily by working very closely with the university to set up student groups that get students really excited about using these meters, and then also doing competitions. So behind me is an example of a slide of 2 dorms where we have this system implemented at NC State. And they're competing currently to see who can reduce their energy consumption the most for a cash prize. Our value proposition to the university is primarily to increase their green image and also to save them money on their utility bill. and then we'll charge them a monthly fee based on how much energy they're able to save. We have a great team of students from the NC State Design School, the Masters of Engineering Management program here at Duke, as well as the Smart Home here at Duke, and the Keenan Flagler Business School at UNC. Hopefully by this spring, we'll have prototypes completed at Duke, UNC, as well as the two at NC State. And we'll be looking for an initial investment of $200,000 at that time in order to have sustainable growth. And I hope that you'll consider investing in us then. Thank you.
How do you make money?
By charging the universities, because we save them money, they'll be willing to pay us a certain amount. And so really what we're going to do is we're going to see how much energy we're able to save the universities from our prototypes, get an estimate based on the types of buildings they're in, and then charge universities about 30% of the amount that we save them.
Excellent. And can students put together this technology at another university easily, or do you have a barrier to adoption, a barrier to entry?
That's actually one thing we're looking into is basically setting up clubs at each university that would kind of support this project. The national office would generally be in charge of doing all the technical work, the coding, the programming, and then the clubs, which would be volunteer students at each university, would set up meetings with the facilities office to help us implement the system. And we would just roll in and pull the data from the smart meters that are already in place.
Does the technology exist, the sensors and the software, no development necessary?
Yes. So right now we have the system already running in 2 dorms at NC State.
Actually, I just thought that was part of the presentation, but no, actually that's...
No, they're in place. It's live. So if you want to see the data, you can go to www.packpulse.com.
Similar to Wayne's question, how much energy demand would you characterize as elastic in terms of can be reduced? There's some behavioral modifications in there. How do you think about pricing this to the university?
Based on what we've seen and some previous research that's been done in this field, we think about 5 to 7% is pretty conservative. There have been studies that have shown up to 20%. One thing we did at these 2 dorms is we had everyone run down the halls and tell everyone to turn all their lights and electrical appliances off. And we saw between a 15 to 20% decrease in electricity that day. Thank you.
And we have Green Energy Team.
Hi, I'd like to talk to you about a solar energy system that provides point-of-use energy for home heating and electricity. Our system can impact 80% of the average household's energy needs with an estimated payback period of 5 years. We have developed our business plan in collaboration with Rich West, CEO of Advanced Liquid Logic. We have filed a provisional patent through Morgan & Allen, and our IP is fully inventor-owned. Current solar technologies have significant drawbacks that impede their use at the residential level. Large power plants have a large energy transmission costs, as well as, and they cannot transport their own energy. Solar panels have low efficiencies and are affected by shading. Solar dishes and plates are an eyesore and require solar tracking hardware. Our technology, the SolarStream, utilizes low-cost, off-the-shelf parts linked together by a novel manifold system. The use of evacuated tubes allows for a discrete, efficient system that can be used in areas of shading and indirect sunlight, where solar panels and dishes are paralyzed in functionality. The Parks and Recreation Department has expressed interest in investing in green energy. The SolarStream scales very well to their needs by providing their long-term energy costs and by reducing their long-term energy costs and improving the environmental friendliness of their systems. Our $75 million market has few barriers to entry and allows for expansion into other markets. We will arrive at a break-even point of 203 units a year after production with our a return on equity of 62% within 5 years. We will finish our proof of concept device by the end of this year. We are seeking $200,000.
Stop.
So if I'm going to put something on my roof that takes advantage of solar energy, why would I go with this product, which gives me one output, hot water, versus a system that can use photovoltaic technology to give me electrons that I can use for any load in my house, including hot water?
Great question. So our technology is able to convert thermal energy to both hot water heating and electricity. So current photovoltaic technology only converts solar power into electricity, not into thermal heating. And also currently backdated super technology only converts into thermal heating, not into electricity. Our technology can do both thermal energy and electricity.
Do you use some sort of steam cycle generator?
We do. Jeff has a sample device. It's basically using the evaporation and the condensation of water to create a energy grid, which through a heat engine allows the generation of electricity.
And what is your cost per unit more residential oriented? Obviously commercial, what's your cost price per household?
Are you referring to the efficiency of the system, or?
So what the homeowner would invest in, you said payback within 5 years.
So this is basically a reduction in the cost of heating, water, or space heating, as well as the electrical component. So that you would save by not paying the utilities. Essentially, you would be paying us. You install this type of system, and it would supply your demand. At the same time, your investment, this is essentially a long-term investment, but it'll pay back in 5 years, and after that, you'll see savings.
What do you think the cost per unit will be?
Well, we foresee current installations for this type of unit is roughly 8,000, but we see around 12,000.
Do you get a better return off of the thermal side or the electric side of your equation?
The thermal side. This type of system is mainly for thermal, but along with the fact that most of the household's energy usage is mainly thermal, as well as this also has application for space cooling. And this will take a large load off of electricity. So essentially that will be supplying kind of a base load of electricity as well as majority of heating.
And is your 5-year payback dependent upon solar RECs at a particular level? And if so, are you using today's price or some price you expect them to be in the future?
Well, basically, we're kind of using the baseline of just the installation of the thermal system itself, the evacuate tube system. Those are typically roughly 6 years, but we feel that the scale-up costs of the installation, because the system, since it does produce electricity, will need a larger system because that will siphon off the thermal system itself. But that cost is minimal compared to the installation costs, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to remind people, and I've seen some new people come in, that we do have feedback forms available, and it would really help the team if you can fill those out and provide your critique on the pitch. So next up, we have Switch Energy.
Hi, my name is Kapil Ramachandran. I'm an undergraduate at Duke University. So basically, one of the biggest problems that the world faces today is the energy crisis. And the project Alleviate is geared towards alleviating some of these problems by using bioethanol from switchgrass to power commercial engines that we can use on a commercial scale in households. Now, a lot of different projects in biotech industries are aiming to do such things as produce bioethanol from biomass sources. But what makes this project so drastically different is the fact that we use methodologies that have never been employed in industry before, such as modest reaction conditions which allow lower temperature and not high pressure, high temperature processes that take a lot of energy, that have the highest yields so far that have ever been produced by any process so far, and chemical recycling makes the process that we use more sustainable than any process that exists out there. In addition, we're using enzymes that have been provided by Dyadic for free to be tailored specific to the process that we're using. Enzymomonas mobilis, which is a bacteria that will ferment and produce yields at a higher rate because of their genetically modified properties. Now, in terms of what actually will cost consumers, the build of a small-scale plant by itself will be about $4,000, and we're using this to start powering the smart home, and we're working on the project right now. And we haven't really looked at the E100 engine yet to power, to convert the ethanol into power yet, because it's a little bit too far down the line. But basically, from just the plant itself, we see about a $28 profit for every ton of switchgrass you put in, and this investment will be returned in approximately 2 years. So currently, we've already tested this process, and we have very, very high sugar yields, never before seen in the industry. We have the plant beginning to be built.
Stop!
This is an interesting idea. Why isn't anyone else doing it yet in the marketplace?
So, the biggest problem with this is actually converting what industry does. So, they basically take biomass on hundreds and thousands of tons of biomass, and they convert it into hundreds and hundreds of gallons of ethanol. And they haven't really figured out an efficient way of doing this on a smaller scale. There is a company that tried doing this with corn husks, and they're selling it at, I believe, $12,000. But the reason that it hasn't been done yet is because it's very difficult to scale down. But we think that using these processes, we're going to be able to scale down pretty efficiently.
So, you plan to move the switchgrass, or you plan to move the ethanol? When growing it, when consuming it?
So the switchgrass itself will have to be bought, at least in terms of what we're doing now. But on a commercial scale, people can probably have. Ideally, we'd have each state could have farms that would ship out switchgrass. Or if the consumer wanted, they could plant half an acre of switchgrass, which would produce half a ton of wheat. It would produce about 4 to 5 tons a year. So that would be enough to.
So I just think about the logistics of having an engine in my backyard versus me and everyone in the state of North Carolina sharing one big engine that Van helps me put in.
Right.
And
So.
it has economies of scale and efficiency associated with it. That's
Right. So the thing is, the difference between what people are doing now, between having a big engine and then what this is serving to do is that this would actually be significantly cheaper, even though that there are transportation costs associated with it. The efficiency of producing it at your own house would be significant.
Are there chemicals and fertilizers that are needed to grow switchgrass? What is the kind of environmental impact?
So, switchgrass itself is a very, very low energy using crop. It's carbon sequestration, et cetera, et cetera. But the biggest thing is that it requires a very low amount of energy to actually keep up the crop. So unlike corn, where you have to till the field continuously, there's a large input. The switchgrass only has to be cut every half a year, and then after that it's okay. But it takes 2 years to grow the switchgrass itself. But the grass can grow in very, very different environments. You can grow it on poor soil or very good soil.
How many tons of switchgrass do I need in order to power my house a year?
So, a acre of switchgrass can give you about 10 to 12 tons of, if you plant an acre of switchgrass, you can get 12 tons of switchgrass. And a ton of switchgrass will give you about 120 liters of ethanol. Can I finish? Okay, so it'll give you about 120 liters of ethanol. It's going to take about 400 liters of ethanol to produce. I think it's for every liter it's 28 megajoules. So if you do the calculation, you power your house off of a ton of switchgrass for about a week to a month, somewhere, depending on how much energy you use and how big your farm is.
Okay, next up we have methane cap.
Environmental degradation from hog waste is a huge, huge problem. It's a big problem specifically in North Carolina, specifically in the Midwest. In addition to releasing harmful pathogens into the air that cause people to get sick, and in addition to contaminating the water supply, The hog farms in America release millions and millions of tons of methane gas into the atmosphere each year. And methane gas is one of the most harmful greenhouse gases that exist. Our company has a solution to that. We have developed a technology that not only captures that methane gas, but turns it into electricity. And here's how it works. There's a basin at the farm, and the farmer will move the waste into the basin. There's a canopy, a digestive cover, on top of this basin that actually traps the methane gas. And then the methane gas is then combusted through a generator to create electricity. From the electricity, we have an estimated total market in the United States of about 4,000 farms that can use this technology to create electricity. From those 4,000 farms, we can generate enough electricity to bring in $540 million of revenue per year. We can generate enough RECs to bring in $820 million per year. And we can generate enough carbon offsets to bring in another $100 million per year. The total market here is substantial. Our technology is solving a big, big problem. We have received $500,000 in grants to move forward with the technology. The technology has been built, it has been tested, and it does work. Right now we're asking for additional funding to roll out the technology at more farms and to turn this into a viable business. Thank you.
Aren't there some other people doing this, and what's different about your process?
There are other technologies on the market, and the different technologies use different processes. The great thing about this anaerobic digestion process that we're taking is we actually add another step. And this extra step, so usually a lot of the other companies that are doing this, or all the other companies that are doing anaerobic digestion, are left with a solid nitrate that is still harmful to the environment. And it's still a problem for the farmer to find a way to dispose of the solid nitrate. Our process is the only process out there that actually turns that solid nitrate into nitrogen gas and releases that nitrogen gas into the atmosphere. Nitrogen gas is obviously the most abundant natural gas that exists, and so that is where our technology really stands different than the rest.
Do you revenue share something with the farmer? How does that work?
Right now, first of all, the farmer has a big problem with his waste, and so right now we feel that the farmer would welcome us with open arms. Down the road, we do see ourselves establishing relationships with the farmers. We do see as other technologies come to market, we see those relationships and those agreements being valuable so that, obviously the fuel of this electricity is the waste. And so in order to secure that fuel at a reasonable, mutual, affordable agreement is in our best interest. So it could make sense to partner with them and pay them an annual fee or pay them a per pound fee for their waste. But from the start, we don't see a big expense with actually creating those partnerships with farms.
There'd be a sustainability aspect to help the farmer, so if there were some.
Exactly. Exactly.
And are you a technology provider or a project developer?
The technology is actually was developed by an outside engineering firm. And so we would be licensing this technology from that firm because right now the firm has no plans to do anything with it. And so we would be acting as the source of license revenue for that firm if we can turn this into a commercial business.
Why doesn't the technology company do anything with what they have today? Why aren't they doing anything with it?
I think that it's an engineering firm, and honestly, I don't think that it's their business to do something like this and to turn it into a business. So their business is developing technologies, and then our team will be the constituency to actually turn it into a business. Thanks.
Let's keep going. Next up for the pitch is Charge.
Hi, I'm Ramya and I represent Charge. Our company provides infrastructure support for large-scale adoption of electric vehicles in developing nations. Now, we've all heard about the Tata Nano, the $2,500 car. Tata recently announced that they're going to launch their electric version very soon, but in Europe. One would wonder, why wouldn't they launch in India and take advantage of the exploding middle class? There are 3 problems here. 1, inefficient and inadequate supply through the standard grid. 2, there are no plug points available outside the residences. And even if you can plug in at home, most of the urban population lives in high-rise apartments. Charge has a solution to offer. Imagine pulling into a gas station and instead of filling petrol, you're able to swap out your depleted battery for a fully charged one. There's absolutely no plug-in involved at home. This is the battery swap model of Charge. We maintain ownership of the batteries, recharge depleted ones using renewable energy, and then distribute them to the swap stations. This way, the drivers can switch over to electric vehicles without having to change their current behavior. Moreover, they also can have lower ownership, usage, and maintenance costs. The customers pay us every time they swap their battery, just like how you fill petrol in your tank. The revenue model works well for us because the cost of petrol is expected to increase over time, whereas that of renewable energy would go down. Now, we are an excellent team to invest in because we have a great team comprising 3 MBAs with diverse experience. We are using off-the-shelf technology that allows us to get into the market right away. Auto companies cannot get into emerging economies to sell electric vehicles without our support. And last but not the least, we help these countries to reduce their carbon emissions, thus lowering global warming. Thank you.
What is the capital expenditure you're projecting to be able to, get enough batteries to make a pilot?
Great question. So right now we are evaluating Bangalore to start off with, and based on our calculations, it takes about $7 million to start.
Why would a gas station work with you rather than just do it themselves?
Another great question. 1, because this is probably not their expertise. Plus, I know I mentioned gas station here, but it need not necessarily be a gas station. We can team up with any other store or someone who's available in plenty, like chain stores or someone like that, who have the capacity to do the swaps. But gas station would be perfect.
If I think about the density of infrastructure you need to support the fleet, India seems like a very difficult place to do this. Have you thought about starting with something a little more contained?
I would actually think the other way around, because if you look at the auto industry in India, majority of the vehicles are actually 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers. So the battery capacity required for them is much lower than, say, other countries where cars require much more battery power than some of these smaller vehicles. Did I answer your question? Or?
I guess I just mean you can't have one station, right? You've got to have sort of the whole, whole city or nothing. And it seems like Bangalore's probably a big place relative to a small European city that everybody drives in a pretty well-described geographic area.
Right, but if you look at the European countries, I mean, if you're comparing a European city with an Indian city, they probably can do the plugins at their home, and it won't be too much of an issue for them to do it on their own. Here, that infrastructure is currently not available. Like, if 10 people probably plug in, I can pretty much be sure that homes will not have power supply that day. So.
The cost of your electricity then to charge these batteries would be a variable. Is there a stable power supply? What is the power source? Is it hydro? Is it coal?
So, as far as we are concerned, we would take any renewable form of energy that's available in that particular city, in that particular area. So, yeah, hydro is certainly one of the most widely used one in India, but there's a lot of money put into developing solar power plants. So that's something we would look at.
What's the price premium you pay for renewable energy in India versus just dirty old coal-provided energy?
I would think it's almost twice, but it also, the unfortunate part is it also varies by each state. So what we pay in Bangalore might be a little different from what we pay in Mumbai.
And will the end user customer be willing to pay for that premium?
Yes, because one of the main advantages we are providing to the end user is that we are taking off the upfront cost of the battery. So that brings down the cost of the vehicle by almost 25% for them. And so that's the advantage. Thank you.
keep moving then. We've got SmartLit.
Hi, my name is Emily Sherman, and I developed SmartLit. SmartLit is an off-the-shelf device that will both save you money and reduce your carbon footprint at the touch of a button. Everywhere, people want to join the green movement, but are simply too lazy or don't want to spend the time or money to do so. But there are simple things you can do. Many household appliances consume a significant amount of electricity, even when they're turned off. This phantom energy accounts for over 10% of the average family's electric bill and contributes to over 5% of total CO2 emissions in the US every year. SmartLit solves this problem by conveniently by controlling the current that flows to these appliances with the use of a simple, small keychain remote. You simply place a SmartLit receiver in between the outlet and the appliance that you wish to have turned off while you're asleep or out of the house. This can be a lamp, a TV, anything that plugs in. The remote then controls this receiver with the use of a low-frequency radio transmitter. This product is universal because it requires absolutely no installation and allows you to control your entire house, individual rooms, or even individual appliances all in the palm of your hand. Other products on the market that create similar energy savings require costly installation, while the SmartLit provides the same benefits at a low cost and is as easy to use as unlocking your car. The initial SmartLit starter kit would consist of 5 receivers and 1 remote at a cost of $50, which means the product would pay for itself in less than 5 months. At this price point, our product cost estimates provide a 60% profit margin. Initially, we looked to target communities that are known for being environmentally friendly and distribute these products through high-end electronic stores. We're looking for a $250,000 investment to start off to do a pilot launch as well as a local marketing campaign. I think with the growing green products economy, the growing green products market, SmartLit has a huge opportunity for success, especially with the support of my team, Eric Ng, who's a private contractor, and Carl Nordgren, a serial entrepreneur. Thank you.
What is the investment you need to get an initial run of these?
$250,000, and that's to pay for mainly just the units themselves. It would be a large-scale manufacturing process that we'd probably ship overseas, just because the technology is so simple. And then the other part of it would pay for a local marketing campaign. As I said, we'd probably target the marketing to a local area at first, especially for the pilot launch, and move more universal as the product gains momentum.
And how does this technology fit into the broader portfolio of kind of smart grid, smart meter technologies? Just worried that if you don't have some compatibility here, when PG&E goes and makes Berkeley a total smart grid city, there's going to be no need for these. Is there a way to integrate that into what everyone else is doing, utilities and independent technology providers, so that you still have a home?
Well, frankly, it isn't really going to be compatible with those, because really the target market is it's a small product. It's $50. It's something you can walk into a store, pick up off the shelf, and take home. Now, I understand the concern in that there will be, as we advance, people will be building these in before the building is finished. However, as you can see in cities today, there are still buildings here that have been around for 70 years. This is supposed to be something that you put into your home as a simple fix. It's supposed to create marginal cost savings, but also something that's significant if a number of people are using it. But it's also an attractive product. We're working very significantly with marketing and branding as a way to sell the product and create those high profits.
$250,000 is a good number to get started with, but it's nowhere in terms of consumer marketing. And there are a lot of products that are going to be targeted after the consumer. How are you going to get noticed through all the noise that's out there?
Well, I think first of all, the green products market is huge. But SmartLit right now, just because it's a single product with a lot of opportunity for additives and improvements in the future, I think can be easily picked up also by another company after creating an initial sort of impact on the market. So once we target those specific communities and expand it outward, like I said, it's a very universal product. It can be used by anyone. The key is that it requires absolutely no installation. So that's something that we would definitely focus on. Pull it out of the box and it works in 5 minutes.
Any barriers to entry that would keep others from replicating your product?
Unfortunately, we've looked into using a patent lawyer, and there isn't much you can patent. which is a struggle. However, like I said, we are focusing on the marketing aspect. Creating the design aspect is huge, kind of working along, the road that Apple paved, with a sleek design and a cool sort of atmosphere around it. Something that I think, people would like to use in college dorms and apartments as well as their home.
Okay, we've got Soul Organic.
Josh Moore, I'm a first-year student at TIFA pursuing an MBA. Here to tell you about the solar industry, which is a $17 billion a year industry. Its biggest problem is reducing the cost of producing solar panels so that solar can be more cost-effective when compared to fossil fuel energy sources. Soul Organic has developed a technology that represents the next step toward reaching that goal and pursuing the cost-effective relationship. I want you to think of a solar panel as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, with two electrodes representing the bread, and an electron donor and an electron acceptor representing the peanut butter and jelly at the inside. We've developed the next jelly. It's the best one on the market once we get it there. Our jelly is a rapidly renewable organic material that receives much higher efficiency than the competitors, and combined with roll processing technology will have a much more cost-effective production cost, especially when compared to what's currently on the market, which is a high purity crystalline material, really high production costs associated with that. The best organic polymer that's on the market right now has already received $150 million in venture capital, and our product is much better in the sense that our product absorbs a much higher percentage of the light spectrum, which means it's much more energy efficient. They've already got $150 million. We're a better product. That's why you should invest in us. We need $50,000 to get this out to to some R&D facilities that manufacture solar panels so they can start testing and using our material. The reason you want to invest in our company is we've got a great team. It's anchored by Dr. Yu, who's a PhD professor at University of North Carolina with 13 years of experience. We have several PhD chemists on the team, as well as MBA students. We have the market expertise, the technical expertise to bring this to market from the lab. We're welcoming you to partner with us to bring the next game changer to the solar industry. Thanks.
Did you say you'd locked up the IP?
Yes. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but yes.
What's your targeted efficiency of these cells?
They're currently around 5% lab, and we've only tested them preliminary for like 3 months. So it's theoretically possible they can reach up to 7% efficiency.
Because we absorb a much higher spectrum of light, we don't have to do nearly as much processing at the back end like some of the other companies have to do, which is a really expensive part of the production.
So do you anticipate this is primarily utility scale deployment?
Well, I think the beauty of it is our core competency is developing this polymer technology, and so that we would sell it to the solar panel manufacturers. But I think there's a wide range of markets, whether it's utility or it's small solar cells that can be used in rural parts of the world.
Do you have a wish list of people you'd like to sell this to, and who is it?
The ASF,
Philips, LG, anyone working with like
GE.
Anyone working with like organic electronics manufacturing and has done a lot of R&D in this area. They don't have any manufacturing products.
How are you going to reach the right guy in each one of those companies?
Well, there are, I've looked at some websites. They have websites in our specific field. They have a contact person. Dr. Yu has he's been in the industry for years. He's got a lot of contacts in a lot of companies as well. Other than that, we're just going to go to conferences, and we've just now rolled out some materials. So I think once we publish our results, we should probably get a lot of cool calls coming in for us.
How did you come up with the idea for this material?
A lot of, 3 or 4 years of work, I guess, learning how these were made, learning the structure of them, and just designing them, just finding out how to harness energy, what kind of chemical structures we need to do, what we need to change to them, and then actually making the devices. Yeah, sorry. I I guess just a lot of research and analyzing.
And are there other solutions that are pretty similar to yours that are right next to yours?
Yes, there are actually. So you mentioned that one company, it's up in Boston, they have $102 million in venture capital. They have a similar polymer, but it's reached its peak of efficiency, really. You can't get any more, because it won't absorb any more light. There are definitely a lot of research groups in the area, but I think we've demonstrated in our lab, we've produced 3 unique polymers that all have high efficiency. So we have a design rationale which we've used to produce these high efficiency polymers.
Okay, next up we have Solar Share.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Messer and I'm a graduate student in the religion department. Like 80% of consumers, my husband and I are really interested in supporting renewable energy. We recently investigated installing solar panels on our home, and we liked learning that we could in fact sell the energy from our panels both back to the utility, and we could sell the renewable energy credits. However, what became quickly apparent to us are the barriers that are present for folks like us, homeowners who want to benefit from solar energy. Specifically, there are 4. There's a very high upfront cost. It's almost prohibitive. It's $20,000 to $30,000. Secondly, there's a long payback period. It's about 15 years. Thirdly, it depends on your home. Do you have an appropriately sunny site? And lastly, there's a risk involved. I mean, what happens if you pay the money for the panels, and then within 5 or 10 years there's a breakthrough in efficiencies? So organic comes along, and there's greatly enhanced solar panels on the market. And if you haven't paid them back yet, you might be very disappointed. Okay, so what our idea is to form a solar cooperative. And by doing so, what we can do is gather like-minded folks together to invest in a solar array, and each member thereby owns a small portion of the greater panels. Here's how this would solve the problems I currently outlined. Members could invest at varying levels, and they could exit at will. They could benefit from a shorter payback period because of the commercial benefits that are available. They don't have to own a home in a sunny location, and they could benefit from the cooperative's continuous investment in the latest solar technologies. This business model not only helps spread renewable energy, but it also provides a sound investment strategy. We calculate that members can expect at least a 4% annual return on their investment through tax credits, depreciation. Wow.
So I'd own 1/30th of a larger solar panel, is that correct?
Or however much you wanted to.
And where would it be? It wouldn't be near my house?
It would not be near your house, probably not.
So how do you get the electrons to me?
Well, what we would do is, it would be a buy-sell arrangement, which is the current way the most economic way to do it currently in North Carolina. So what we would do is the cooperative or the LLC would own the panels. They would receive the money both from the utility and from the SRECs, and then we would cut you a check based on how much of the array that you own.
And what rate is the utility paying for that electricity today versus what rate I'm paying for at my house?
Same, 6 cents a kilowatt.
Cooperative is a nonprofit or for-profit?
It would have to be for-profit. Well, no, well, I'm not sure. It would either be a cooperative or an LLC, and I'm not quite sure how to set it up. But the idea is that the tax credits would have to pass through to the individual members so that they can claim the money from the tax savings. Okay. Yeah.
You know, in upstate New York, I can pay something like 15% more on my energy bill to get green energy, and I don't totally know what that means. I think it means they preferentially, sign PPA with whatever wind providers upstate. How is this different from that? If I can just kind of check a box on the utility bill that I get every month and pay a little bit more versus, this, which requires clearly somebody to maintain it, and grid interconnection, all this stuff that goes with it.
Right. Well, ostensibly, you'd be getting a 4% return on your investment. So you'd be making money in large part because of the government's current program of tax credits, but also depreciation adds quite a lot as well.
You know, I've moved an awful lot, and if I move, does this have to go with my house? Can I sell it back to the cooperative?
Yes.
And how do you figure out at what price I can sell it back to the cooperative?
I don't know, but I would want to figure that out.
Candor is a good thing.
You know, is solar the right technology for North Carolina? Presumably you could put in some small scale wind turbines. I don't know anything about the local resources, but you could do this for any renewable, right?
That's right. That's right. Hence the solar air, in case we wanted to expand to wind. That's right. Yeah.
The property that you put this on, does the organization own that, or?
That's interesting. There's a lot of empty land sort of in northern North County, Chatham County. So one possibility would be to enter into a long-term lease with a property owner, or you could enter into an agreement with a local nonprofit and put it in rooftops downtown.
Okay, next we have Aurora Networks.
Right now in the United States, over 10% of all energy that goes into residential or commercial buildings is wasted on standby power. This translates into over $24 billion a month, or $300 billion a year. We are the solution to this problem. Our system, comprised of wireless linked smart outlets that can monitor and cut off power to each individual outlet in your home, linking to an online system that can make rules, creates rules on an individualized basis and creates models based on past, real-time, and forecasted use. So, consider that you're the building manager for, say, GE. Now, GE has a lot of computers, and printers, scanners, and these computers don't need to be used, say, during lunch period or maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. So, why do they need to consume power when they're not being used? Well, we can cut power, each individual outlet, based on, say, you take lunch at 11:30 or 12, and we know that. And we can save you upwards of 30% on your energy bill at the end of the month. So, for GE, who spend millions of dollars on power, that can be a very, very big number. Now, for an investment, you get about 50% on your ROI. And with millions on the line, that's a big number. Cash flow never ends, and it gets better. Energy costs are increasing. Now, we believe that we can take a portion of the $30 billion green conservation movement, and with 15% market penetration, we believe we can reach 5-year revenues of upwards of $250 million. Now, this requires no customer interaction. It's set it and forget it. It's a nice bench to open a truck, install the system, and you're instantly saving millions on the next energy bill. It's automatic. Now, this doesn't end with commercial. We believe that we can put it into residential homes, and because they consume over 37% of the residential.
So this is a rules-based engine that determines that I take lunch from 12 to 1 and will cut my computer off at noon. Did I understand that?
So we basically learn your habits of when you're going to be using machines or not, and we can cut power to the appliance so it doesn't need to stand by power like that. Or go one step further, in the residential setting, if you want to have your refrigerator be on when you're in the home, let's say it's a vacation home, if you want it to be cool by the time you get there, turn on 3 days before, wasting all that power, keeping your refrigerator on 6 months of the year you're not there.
And can you build the rules engines sufficient so that if my behavior changes, you would have a way of knowing that?
So we were looking into that. We were thinking about having kind of a capacitor in it that can see if you want to turn on a device. So it sucks that power out of the capacitor. We can measure the voltage between that. And then because of that, we can boot on power immediately, maybe an proximity sensor like that.
Can you put this in bars so that it cuts off the TV when Carolina's playing?
How do you see this? If I'm a user, for me to really know if I've got my money's worth, I want some feedback, right? And so is there a web interface? How do I know this is working? I'm giving you some money or signing you up.
Sorry, when I checked my card, I less that.
But yes, there's an online system that can provide past, real-time, and forecasted data on what you're using and what you're saving, and provide you how much you're saving. So I know the smart power grid, stuff like that, can target an individual, but it can't cut power to each individual appliance based on rules. So this requires no interaction from you, like the smart grid does.
Is there an override? So let's say I'm late for lunch, trying to finish something off, my computer's not
Sure.
shut off? Yeah.
If the computer is actively being used, it's obviously consuming more power, so we can tell if it's at rest.
Did you say how much it would cost to install this per user or?
So for a typical residential system, we were thinking on somewhere on the order of $350 for a base station which communicates with the network and about 5 outlets. And for a entire office building, we were thinking somewhere in the order of $500,000.
And is there a monthly fee in addition?
There was a consulting fee to get the system working, and obviously part of the maintenance fee. But we were thinking of financing this so that you can pay it back as you get the savings. So you're basically financing it with your going green, which you get the good PR and you get the excess savings as the system gets itself off. Very good. Thank you.
Next up we have Carbone.
So a few months ago, like any 21-year-old, I was reading the technology issue of The Economist and worrying about osteoporosis. I'll get to osteoporosis a little later, but the technology issue of The Economist highlighted a specific emerging technology in the battery market called oxygen batteries. Oxygen batteries are very similar to lithium-ion batteries that are currently used in all cell phones, laptops, and most modern electronic devices. So the oxygen battery is fundamentally different from the lithium-ion battery in that it takes the lithium-ion electrode and swaps it for a porous carbon electrode, carbon full of tiny little holes, and effectively it increases the charge potential of the battery and reduces the weight of that battery down to 1/10 of its original weight. So I don't want to make these batteries. I was thinking about osteoporosis. So thinking about osteoporosis, I thought about the porous structure of the bone, and I realized that it would be possible to efficiently and cheaply and greenly, if that's an adjective, make those porous carbon electrodes by using that bone that would go into all of those new oxygen batteries. So let's talk about the oxygen battery market. The lithium-ion battery market is poised to hit $13 billion by 2013, and because oxygen batteries are projected to be 70% cheaper than the current lithium-ion batteries, the revenue potential for manufacturing cheap and green carbon electrodes that would go into these oxygen batteries is incredibly huge. Our team consists of me, my friend over here, fellow undergraduate Kenneth Gould, a fourth-year PhD chemistry student, a first-year electrochemist in the engineering school, as well as a slew of undergrad biochemical engineers who are going to help us develop this project. We're currently looking for a research and development grant. We're looking for an investment of roughly $40,000 to continue researching and developing a prototype necessary so that we can enter this market in the next 3 years. Thanks.
So what are the milestones? What's the maturity of your technology now, and kind of how do we judge progress?
Okay, so there's 2 milestones. The first milestone is at the market level. At the market level, oxygen batteries are still being fully developed. Many different firms and research institutions like the University of St. Andrews, which first developed the idea, are looking to put this into the market 3 to 5 years from now. So that's the milestone of where the oxygen batteries are poised to take over lithium-ion batteries. So the problem that the firms specifically face is how to develop those carbon electrodes. Artificially, they have to do it now, and that basically requires taking a hard carbon material and nanotunneling through that material to create the pore structures. By literally stealing the pore structure of the bone, we swap the carbon in the bone and the pore structure of the bone and remove all of those phosphates, and all that's left is the porous carbon structure that's necessary for the electrode.
So once you get your grant, you get going, how much capital does it take to actually put the technology into commercial viability?
So we foresee 2 different ways that this could occur. The first way is to develop this technology, get a really sound patent on it, and then just go through a licensing procedure, and that could be one just revenue model. However, we're fully going to recognize that this could be so much cheaper than the other carbon electrodes that we could actually manufacture this and move forward. So it's not cheap to manufacture it.
This would require a wave of probably $10 million investments to get enough manufacturing of these carbon electrodes down in order to actually penetrate this market.
How much do you think it would take to lock up the IP?
Probably $100,000 to get a very sound right to practice patent.
And have you seen any other intellectual property that's in the area?
It's a crazy idea, so no. There's only one, there's one patent pending that's very distant from it, and that has to do with like a specific process of baking the bone to get carbon stuff out of it, but there's nothing even close.
Why do you say it's crazy?
It's crazy because I feel like it's odd that we would be able to actually employ something like waste bone and turn it into something that's green and efficient and usable.
I'm a little nervous to ask, what is waste bone?
Waste bone would come from slaughterhouses. Part of the revenue stream has to do, it's very sustainable, but part of the revenue potential has to deal with also a government program that actually subsidizes investments in poor areas, and it just so turns out that slaughterhouses are placed in poor areas. So actually an investment of $10 million as part of the milestone, because of the subsidy, that would only require a $6 million investment because of the tax credits that are granted by the government for those areas.
What's a competitive advantage that your team has over other research teams that might be trying to address this right now?
Absolutely. Our competitive advantage has to do with the fact that we are working on this now, so we're in the prototype process right now. The second competitive advantage is that we have an insane amount of talent. The people that are working on this team are exceptionally good and exceptionally driven. Like, we are very driven individuals. And the third competitive advantage is that this isn't something that a lot of other people are thinking of. It turns out that this is actually pretty crazy.
Okay, and let's finish things off with Magic Meter. Smarter than the start in the smart meter.
Hi, I'm Yu. I'm here representing the Magic Meter team. Sometimes you get your electric bill and you wonder, how come it's so high? Is it because of that old refrigerator, or is it because you never turn off your heater? Well, our Magic Meter will help you pinpoint wasteful spending by telling you how much individual appliance is costing you. Well, so our Magic Meter allows the user to access the real-time energy consumptions of all her appliances, not just the total. And that's the difference between our Magic Meter and traditional smart meters. On top of that, our Magic Meter can be installed easily without a technician, and the hardware itself is simple and low cost. Well, isn't that magical? But what's behind the magic? Well, actually, much of the magic is done over the internet on data centers using a proprietary algorithms that process large amounts of data collected from many Magic Meters from many homes. Who's going to put all this together? We have strong teams. There are two PhD students. We have engineers from HP, Microsoft, and Google. We are advised by the director of Duke Smart Home program, two computer science professors, and we are collaborating with the largest meter manufacturer in China to co-develop an intermediate product that has partial features. We have a prototype, and that product is going to be on the US market within a few months. We need financial support for our fully featured Magic Meter, and with enough funding, we can release that one in a year. So this is a proven market. We have the product, we have the technology, and most importantly, we have a phenomenal team. And we are looking for investors to help us bring our venture to the next level. And Magic Meter, 1 meter that monitors every appliance. Thank you.
What will it take to get the technology to market, and then what do you need for marketing?
So basically, since our first product will be available within a few months, we'll be the first in the market, because currently there are a lot of people who want to enter this home energy monitoring market. So we feel that if we are early, and because our service is actually web-based, we use an internet website, so allow users to access that, and we use social networks to promote that, because we use e-commerce, that kind of marketing strategy.
So this is a single meter that's able to parse the data, and using algorithms, you're being able to determine that the TV went on or
yeah.
And are you familiar with one of the people that you had in your last startup challenge, Luke Fishbeck?
Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah.
What's different about what you're doing than what he's doing?
So basically, I think his product only tells you the total power consumption in real time. What we are doing is just use watt meter to get the consumption of individual appliances.
And if you had the product today and it was in the market, how would you gain traction among consumers?
So, for example, you can save easily 20% of your energy bill if you monitor, figure out which appliance is wasting your money, right? So within a year, you can possibly get, just save enough money to get a product. We will price this one at around $200. So, intermediate product will be like $50. So that's not too high.
Where do I buy this?
So basically, we will use retail store like Home Depot or like eBay or like Amazon, that kind of place to sell.
And the user interface, when I go to my screen or whatever it is that the picture I saw?
No, not exactly. This is just an illustration. Basically, we offer like website, iPhone applications, like Facebook, for you to go to the website. You basically specify a time range, specify a appliance, and you see when it's turned on and off, how much energy you used, and maybe compare it with the other TVs on the market. Say your TV wastes too much energy, and you want to get a better one. Right?
Ease of installation. Can you speak to installation?
So basically, we don't want people to mess up with the wires. We want you just stick it into the electric panel, and then you just sort of eavesdrop the signal, and then we pass that part.
Other than dropping it in the electrical panel, is there any training that I have to do with the system? Did you say I should turn on and off a TV?
Yeah, actually, initially our test users will have to help us tag the appliances, but once we collect enough data, then we don't need that.
Hello. Hey guys, so I'm Steve Powell. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Big Startup Challenge, just while we're punching in the results here. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out. I was frankly just very, very impressed by all the pitches tonight, so just a round of applause for everyone. And I actually had a tough time choosing the audience choice. I don't know if you did, but I certainly did. So one thing I just want to make a pitch for. So obviously everybody's here competing in the elevator pitch competition tonight. As Nick mentioned at the beginning of the night, this is actually a year-long competition. So there are several upcoming competitions that whether or not you competed tonight, there's a fair number of folks that are in the room that actually didn't compete. You can compete in those as well. And so the next big thing coming up is the executive summary competition that's coming up in January. So I think obviously this night it's a little bit artificial, right? Like having a camera, having a panel of judges, having a slide up on the screen, having a microphone, standing in front of a room of 100 people. It's you're never going to be doing an elevator pitch like this again, most likely, unless you do another business plan competition. But the idea here, and a lot of what we want to do with the Duke Startup Challenge is we want to give Duke students an opportunity to really practice those skills and win real money to start their business with. And so the idea here is there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to pitch your idea to investors or pitch your ideas to potential partners or just people that might help advise your business. Learning how to distill your idea down to 2 minutes or distill your idea into something very visual is a great skill. And so as Van Morris was mentioning at the beginning, that's another great skill that you need to do when you're putting your business plan together, right? You have a lot of ideas in your head, and some of those are really going to be key ideas that are going to move your business forward, and some of them are not. And so what the next stage of the competition is, it's putting together an executive summary. It's basically, you've gone from a 2-minute pitch, the next thing is a 5-page document that's, again, it's just expanding on some of those ideas. And then following that, if you advance through the executive summary competition, you get to advance to the finals, where you need to put together a full-blown business plan and a 10-minute investor pitch. So I'd encourage everyone, whether or not you win tonight, frankly, all these ideas were fantastic, so I'd like to see all of these get submitted to the executive summary competition. And I think with that, one more thing. So obviously tonight, we'll see the winners from tonight. The winners from tonight will be moving on to the finals event on Friday. And obviously this is just one event that's happening this week. There's 7 other track level events happening. And all of those winners are also going to be advancing. In the undergraduate track last night, there was, again, frankly, a lot of great ideas. So I encourage everyone to come on Friday at 5:30 p.m. There's going to be the finals event happening at FUPA. And we'll have a networking reception with free food and beverages before, and the event is going to start at 7 o'clock. So I hope to see everybody then. Okay. So I think at this point,
Thanks, Steve. So, thank you guys again. What would be excellent for all of you who just presented would be to have 5 or 10 minutes private with these guys to get feedback. We can't do that. These guys have lives and they need to go home. That said, we're going to invite these guys up here to give a bit of general feedback to the group so you guys can take away a little bit of the wisdom that was going on outside in terms of picking the best and picking the sort of how all these can improve. And so I'll call you guys up here and kind of give everybody a few minutes to just sort of give general feedback to this group, which I think will be great, and then we will get on to announcing the winners. So if I can get you guys to please come up.
I congratulate you all. Fantastic presentations, and you know, when you are doing an elevator pitch to a group of investors, as Van said, it's not so much about the business plan, but the thinking behind it. It's about you. They're investing in you. They're investing in your team. You all represented your ideas and your team so professionally and so well, so I commend you for that. I would add, just as kind of a general, since we're in the sustainability, environment, and sort of energy realm, that as you look towards these money-making, you know, great business ideas that are going to save the world, and they are, also think through the kind of social, the health, and the environmental ramifications of your business plan. And it's kind of a triple bottom line thinking, but you know, once you think of a profitable, good business idea, think through those aspects, how it affects the people who are involved in it, the land that's involved in it, and the health of the people who are engaging in it. And I just encourage you to sort of have life cycle thinking around those kinds of things.
Great job, everyone, tonight. This is exciting. GE sponsors a body of research that comes out of Stanford called the Global Climate and Energy Partnership. And we're one of the smaller sponsors, but anyway, they have a really good annual symposium every year where all these smart folks from around the world who receive grants come and pitch their work, and I was there back in September. John Deutsch, who you guys may know, is sort of a legendary figure now in the energy space, was involved in the inception of the Department of Energy. He was the chief of the CIA and Bill Clinton. He's an emeritus professor at MIT, and just a general kind of guru in the energy space. He spoke, and you know, he was not despairing of the state of the world in terms of the challenges that face us. And really the thing that he falls back on, he says, you know, I look at my students and I've never seen a generation of young people so motivated to solve problems as I do now. And I think this room is a great example of that, so congratulate yourselves for all the good work here. I listen to a lot of business plans and pitches much longer than 2 minutes. And I think there are a couple lessons that are helpful that I've kind of learned that are fairly obvious, but not everyone does it. One I would say is just don't forget to make just kind of the basic problem statement, right? Don't assume people know. Just give them a sentence or two. Energy is expensive, it's getting more expensive as CO2 equivalent, whatever. That's what I'm solving. That's why you call me, right? That's a very good place to start. Also, if you have 1 slide or 5 slides or 30 slides, I want to be able to digest it and kind of get the point of each one really quickly. So some of these ideas obviously are pretty complicated. You've thought hard about business models, and you want to squeeze everything into one thing. But if I'm looking at that, trying to figure out which air is going left and right and up and down, I'm not listening to what you're telling me. So those are just a couple technical points that always make my job as a listener easier, and I think will kind of get you traction with your audience. But very nice work tonight, and I really enjoyed being here.
2 minutes is tough. I think I'm going to go home, and I think I'm going to turn my stopwatch on, and I'm going to try and see what I can say in 2 minutes that's both clear and, for a large number of you, clever. Some of the delivery was particularly engaging and got my attention, and when you've only got 2 minutes, that's really, really, really important, so I thought that was great. I think that for those that had consumer products, if the conversation continues, it would be how you're going to get the consumer to buy, because it's always difficult breaking through in a consumer environment. But I would just tell you to keep on doing what you're doing. Take the 2 minutes now up to 4 to 6 to 8. And I would not be surprised if, and I hope Duke tracks this, if there's not a business or two that makes it out into the clear light out of this group. I really just was very impressed with the talent in the room. Thank you.
Just a few more minutes of work, yeah, exactly. So once again, thank you. Now is the moment you've all been waiting for. We're going to start with the Audience Choice Award first, and then move on to the Judges' Choice. So without further ado, the Audience Choice Award for this elevator pitch competition for energy and environment is Token Energy.
That's good enough, actually. We'll get the big sharp chop signs. Thanks, guys. Here you go. Right here. A little bit closer, folks. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. And last but not least, we're going to announce. So, oh, sorry. Here are the quick breakdown here for your texting choices. Give you a minute to soak that in. All right, and moving on, and now while we have you in a moment of suspense, we're just going to plug Friday. If you thought this was fun, come out to Fuqua for Friday at 5:30 for the finals with Bill Morris and Google. Now, the Judges' Choice Award for this year's competition goes to Token Energy again.
So I might as well do it.
One more picture.
It's $50 more on the check, so. Alright, I'll give it a motivation. Okay. Right here. More.
Alright, so before you guys take off, in the event of a tie, the rules go like this. We keep this young man, but we move the second place Judges' Choice winner up to move on to the finals. And so, without further ado, we have one more winner to announce. And so for the judges' second place is Carbone. So both of these teams, Token Energy and Carbone, will be moving forward to the finals. So if you come to Fuqua on Friday, 5:30, you'll see these guys in action. So as these guys get the last picture, hold on one second. Thank you guys for coming out. One quick